We are just a couple days away, ladies and gentlemen, from roster cut down day. And I thought since this is before the Browns game on Thursday, it'd be a perfect time to look at some surprise cut candidates before the cut down day on Sunday. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports, presented by PrizePicks. I am your host, Brad Alper. And like I said, roster cut down day is Sunday at 6 p.m. But we are going to see multiple cuts because the Patriots play on Thursday. There's going to be cuts on Friday, on Saturday. And then they got to go from 90 players all the way down to 53. So we're going to break it all down throughout the weekend, and especially when it comes down to Sunday at 6 p.m. We'll have a video on the full roster. So don't miss out, guys, because they're going to come very, very quickly. Go ahead, hit that sub button right now. Let's take a look at the first cut candidate. We're going offense, defense, offense, and so on and so forth. The first guy on my list is Jam Miller. And I've talked about it throughout the last couple of days after the Patriots-Eagles preseason game that I think that Jam Miller has kind of lost the running back 3 battle. And granted, I might be a little biased because of my fandom towards Len Larison. But I thought after the game against the Indianapolis Colts, Jam Miller kind of stepped forward, and we saw that. But then after a couple practices, they saw Len Larison go for the third team or the third running back on the depth chart. And then once after the game, after the Eagles game, Len Larison took a step forward. Here were the stats from Philly's game, and you could see right here from the carries, Jam Miller had 2 more carries, but he had only 3 more yards. Len Larison had the touchdown, higher yards per carry. But the thing I look at the most is 3 catches for 41 yards. Jam Miller was one-dimensional. He only did one singular thing. I thought personally that he had a disappointing game. He had one breakout run, which I thought was very well, but it was an opened-up hole from Caleb Lomu. Other than that, it was kind of just like, okay, he's fine, but overall I thought he could have done better. And I think going in and who's going to be that final third running back on the roster, it's going to all come down to special teams. And the one thing about Len Larison compared to Jam Miller is that Larison can play special teams. We saw in the preseason games, both of them, against Indy and against Philly, that Larison was on kickoff team. And you can see right here, he has been on kickoff team. He has been on all special teams. And that's something that Jam Miller does not have. So I think that Jam Miller is a perfect candidate for the practice squad, but overall, I would say that Larison gets the nod and becomes that running back 3. We'll have to wait and see. You'll see the final game on Thursday when they take on the Cleveland Browns. Now to the next one, to defense. Chad Muma is a big guy on my list, and I think Chad Muma was a preseason favorite or going in from training camp, but overall, it has been a very, very much disappointment. And I've been kind of upset because I had really high hopes on Chad Muma and what he was going to do coming on this team. Like, Chad Muma's been bad and extremely bad, to say the least. I thought that he was going to play a lot better and almost lock his way onto this team. But after the last couple of games, he has just not been good. But we'll get into it just a little bit more in a second. But first, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. You know, PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports, ladies and gentlemen. And now that football is officially back, you guys can make preseason lineups, and also you guys can stick with the season-long lineups as well. But that's not the only sports. You still have the W going on right now. You still have big golf tournaments, baseball, motorsports, esports, you name it. It is on the PrizePicks app, and you could also do those season-long lineups for basketball as well. But you know, preseason football, but guess what's this weekend? It is college football, ladies and gentlemen, and we got a good one for this weekend's game. Yeah, UNC against TCU, Mr. Bill Belichick himself. We're going with the more on Demon June and his rushing yards at 44.5. We're going with the less on Jaden Craig's rushing yards at 11.5. And then we're going with the more on Jordan Shipp on his receiving yards at 55.5. 10 to win 60. And you guys can make a lineup just like that one, guys. The app is super easy to use. All you got to do is just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. And the new user offer is a new offer. Play your first $5 to get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA at signup. That's right. PrizePicks just switched up their offer. So there's no better time to join, lock in, and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at signup to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So speaking of Chad Muma, the Patriots, I think, keep 4 linebackers on the roster. You have your 2 starters in Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis. And then after that, you have KJ Britt, who I think is going to be a lock to make this roster after his performance in the Indy game as well as the Philly game. And then you have three guys that are fighting for a roster spot: Obiazor, Muma, and Khalil Jacobs. But how bad that Chad Muma played just speaks volume. Like Doug Kyed had this in his article about the game on Sunday or Saturday, and he said Muma rose up to the Patriots depth chart this summer during training camp and worked with starters in a three-linebacker-based defense, but he has struggled mightily during preseason action. On Saturday night, Muma blew a coverage, including a 25-yard gain by Eagles wide receiver Darius Cooper, and then on the very next play, he missed a tackle. He missed 2 tackles on the night. Like, if you're doing that against the Eagles' backups, which they were, no starters for the Eagles played, then that may make you completely unplayable in the regular season. If you're doing that against Darius Cooper, imagine what's going to happen week 1 when you have to go line up in May. Sometimes you're going to have to go up against JSN. Sometimes you're going to have to go up against Cooper Kupp in that week 1 game against Seattle. You might be unplayable. And I know the Patriots are very, very, very weak at the linebacker position. Like, there is not a lot of depth. Me personally, instead of having Chad Muma, I'd go out and sign somebody. Bobby Wagner's still there. I know he's ancient, but you also have Bobby Okereke that's there too. You could easily find a linebacker that has more production and more talent than Chad Muma has. But you also have a shining moment on the rookie side because Obiazor, he made an amazing play on 4th down against Philly where it was like in the red zone, into the end zone, and he knocks the pass up, and I thought that was a great play by Obiazor. So maybe the Patriots look to go a little bit younger. You got a guy on a rookie contract like Obiazor who was a captain at TCU. Maybe they look in that sense. But overall, I just don't think that Chad Muma is going to make this roster. And I don't think he has the talent to be on the 53-man roster. We'll have to wait and see. Next guy on my list, back to the offense. James Hudson Jr., the offensive tackle or the offensive guard. He's played both for this New England Patriots team because everybody is getting hurt at this point. But for Hudson, I mean, I just want to see him gone at this point. He has been bad. I know he started for the Giants a couple times last season at the tackle spot, but I had hesitations when we signed him because he played so bad for the Giants. He got benched. He had 5 penalties, and I think it was 1 game, which was unbelievable. And then we saw the James Hudson III against Philly on Saturday. This was what he did during the game. A hold on the opening drive. Then a hold again on the same drive. And then the next drive, he had an untouched sack. Things that just cannot happen. I have the picture for you guys. And just to show how bad it is. How bad it is. Look at that. He's not blocking anybody. It's just, there's no reason for him to be on this team. And for the Patriots, they have enough linemen on the team. Like, I've said it before. He has made so many mistakes. I saw the problems that he had while he was with the Giants. And the fact that the Patriots signed Greg Van Roten, there is no need to keep James Hudson on this roster. Marcus Bryant, I think he's okay. I think he's going to be okay with that ankle injury he suffered. Ben Brown will be back at some point. I just don't think that James Hudson is going to make this roster, and I hope he does not, because he might be another Marshall Newhouse that we had back in the day from 10-something years ago. So we'll have to see about that one. The next guy on my list, Marcellus Dial. And this is a kind of an upsetting one for me that I have here as a surprise cut candidate, because he is one of 2 players that still remain on this team from the 2024 draft class, the other guy being Drake May. And you can see right here, this is kind of a red flag, if I like to say. Some Patriots defenders playing deep into the 4th quarter. If you're playing deep into the 4th quarter, that's a problem. Chad Muma, another guy on this list. Marcellus Dial, Mike Brown, that's a big one. I didn't put him on today's show, but that is a big cut candidate to be possible. And then Braden Swinson, we'll have to see. But if you're playing deep in the 4th quarter, that means you're on the bubble. That means you might not be playing here when it comes to September. We saw a lot of times that if you're playing in here, just look at last year. Kyle Duggar, the safety, he was playing late in the 4th quarter against the preseason last year, and now the Patriots couldn't just cut him. They were looking to trade him, so that's why he was playing, and then he ended up being traded at some point. But right now, the Patriots are looking at their depth on the cornerback spot behind your three starters, behind Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, and Marcus Jones. And you have a bunch of guys. I think Kobe Minor's automatically getting cut, but that's not a surprise cut candidate. But for the Patriots and the backups, I think you have four guys battling for three roster spots. Charles Woods, Kindle Vildor, and Karan Prunty and Marcellus Dowell. And I think Kindle Vildor's stock is rising. I automatically am putting Karan Prunty on there because he's got a couple of first-team reps. He also looks good in training camp, and he's looked solid. He's also a rookie, so I think the Patriots see some potential in him. But Vildor's stock is rising. He had a great 3 plays that in a row, basically, in that preseason game where it was an interception called back and then 2 pass breakups. And then Mike Vrabel gave him some praise after the game. He said, Kindle Vildor, Demetrius Crownover, Leonard Taylor III, Efton Chisholm, and Kyle Dixon all played great and stood out in the second half. And remember what I said about, hey, if you're playing deep in the fourth quarter, that's probably a bad sign. Well, after that drive in the second half that Kindle Vildor had, well, Patriots took him right off the field and said, you're good. You've played enough. We don't need to see anymore. You're okay. So I think that kind of shows, like, hey, he's going to be on this roster. We don't want you to get hurt. So I think the Patriots are going to go with their 3 backups of Kindle Vildor, Karan Prunty, and also Charles Woods. I just think Dowell is the odd man out. Unfortunately, coming back off of that ACL tear, which is unfortunate for him, but there's just too many players on this roster and too many backups for him to be with all of the cornerbacks. You have your 3, and I think that Dowell is the odd man out. The last guy on my list, and that's Jack Westover. And I'm unfortunate for Jack Westover because I really liked him last year. He couldn't really play fullback, and we saw that, but he also could play on the line of scrimmage as another tight end, and he's moved back to his original spot with the Patriots signing Reggie Gilliam. But overall, I thought that Jack Westover has been slightly disappointing after moving back to the tight end spot. 6'3", 252 pounds. He's an absolute behemoth for a guy that is a slightly bigger tight end, but only 1 reception on 3 targets and 13 yards. And he also just has been an okay blocker. And the Patriots are looking for that tight end who can block. They don't need a guy who can go out and catch. They have Eli Raridan and also Hunter Henry. Well, the Patriots have upgraded now at the tight end 3 spot. There's a reason why they didn't bring in a veteran guy, like I was saying, to bring in kind of Pharaoh Brown over and over and over. Well, because they have another guy that is really doing really, really well. And you can see that he's not originally on this depth chart right now. You got to look below Hunter Henry's name at the UDFA list. Yeah, because that's Tanner Arkin. He was not going to be even a thought before Julian Hill got hurt. He was just one of those undrafted free agents that were kind of working their way up into the roster, maybe, just maybe. But ever since Julian Hill got hurt, well, he stepped in and he has taken advantage of his opportunity, and the coaches have noticed that. They let him have some first-team reps with the offense. You don't see Jack Westover getting those first-team reps. Tanner Arkin has been very, very solid at blocking, especially in-game and also in training camp. So I think that he has overtaken that spot on Jack Westover and also C.J. Dupree. And I don't think that the Patriots are going to keep 4 tight ends on the roster. They're just going to keep 3. So you have him as your blocking tight end, as your tight end 3, who can also go out and catch a little bit of passes as well. But the Patriots, they're going to keep him instead of Jack Westover, and him and C.J. Dupree will be going to the practice squad. That's what I predict once we get to roster cut down day on Sunday. I give you 5 surprise cut candidates, and there's always a couple other ones. But you let me know down in the comments section. Name me a surprise cut candidate. It could be offense or it could be defense. Let me know down below in the comments section. And, we're going to cover this all throughout Sunday. Those cuts are going to be coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so you don't want to miss out, guys. You want to be subscribed to this channel right here so you don't miss out on a single thing. So do it right now. And as always, let's go Pats.